So in the last so in that earlier video, I showcased what I would consider an unreasonable switch from bassoon to contrabassoon, and someone asked what a reasonable switch might look like. So there's a lot of variables, but I'm going to start with kind of like a worst case scenario. You know, what's the maximum length of time a well-prepared musician would need for a switch? So right now I have my instruments set up the way that I would want them, one on each side, but if stage space is really cramped, I might have to have them on the same side, which means you have to be more careful because there's a greater risk of the instruments running into each other as you quickly move them into position. So if I'm going from bassoon to contrabassoon, and I guess I should also say, in this worst case scenario, I haven't had any time to preset my reed. So I don't want to play on a dry reed, so I will have needed to soak it at some point. If there's no good time before the switch to put the reed on the instrument, I may have to do that during the switch itself. So, worst case scenario, I'm playing bassoon. I stop playing. I take a little bit of time to unhook. I'm going very slow because most people don't use a neck strap, so it takes a little bit longer to unhook. Take my reed off, set it aside for safekeeping. Pick up the contra reed. And if you give your third bassoonists that much time to switch instruments, I think you're probably pretty safe. Now, I will say there is a subset of contrabassoonists that will complain no matter what. You could give them an entire movement and they'll still figure out a way to complain about it. But for those of us that do this job regularly, that's a reasonable amount of time. And just in case it's different, I'll go the other direction. So from contrabassoon to bassoon. So I'm playing contra. Stop playing. Put the instrument in the stand. Take the reed off for safekeeping. Get my bassoon reed out of the water cup. Hook in. Once again, it's going to take a little bit longer because most people use a seat strap. Now that's what I would call safe. Let's imagine a slightly less terrible scenario. So here I have enough space on the stage to set up my instruments how I like. One on each side, so there's less risk of them ramming into each other, although sometimes you have to be careful about the second bassoonist over here. And I've also looked ahead and found an appropriate place to place the reed on the instrument in advance, which makes the switch faster. So from bassoon to contrabassoon would look like this. Unhook. Get the contra. And then going in the other direction. bit extra time for a seat strap. And that's kind of the reasonable switch. You know, if you're writing for someone who's used to, a professional third/contra player, that's a reasonable amount of time. You're never going to go wrong with more time. For anything faster than that, you have to start taking shortcuts, like I did in that other earlier videos. There, I wasn't strapped. I didn't use a strap at all. I was playing without anything, which is both dangerous and not. A lot of people just flat out won't do it, and I completely understand. So I wasn't hooked in, which allowed me to almost play while I was putting the instrument in the stand. And then I kept the contrabassoon in the stand while I was playing. And there are other tricks that I've had to use for various unreasonable switches, but honestly, I'm happy if composers don't know those tricks, because if you write something that requires them, you're probably going to cause a lot of problems. Anyway, I hope that answered your question.